So y'all have responded very well to the side items, so today we're going to fix another side dish that you can serve with your barbecue, chips, burritos, tacos. We're talking smoked Verde Salsa. Hi YouTube, welcome back to Griffin Grills. I am Griffin, and like you heard, we're going to make our own Verde Salsa. Y'all have responded well to the pickled red onion video and the cornbread videos that we've put out. So we're going to do a Verde Salsa, which is a perfect middle of the road salsa because it's not going to have too much heat and it's still very mild and pleasing to somebody that's maybe a little spice sensitive. So today we're going to bust out some of our old faithfuls like our smoke tube and do a cold smoke on our vegetables. Then we're actually going to cook it up in a pot and can it up. That way we can give it out to people. So let's go ahead and show you how we're going to get everything started. And if you don't mind, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. That way you'll get a notification every time that I upload a video, as long as you click that bell icon. And if you don't mind, you can also like, comment, and share this video with all your friends so they can get all this information. But now let's get everything prepped up and ready to go. Alright, so we are going to be cold smoking the veggies today with our amazing smoke tube that I used in the smoked cheese video. Basically it's a tube, you put some wood pellets in it, you light it with a torch, and it gives off the perfect amount of smoke with very little heat. We're not looking to cook any of the veggies right now. We'll do that in the pot, so we'll just set that on the bottom and start it up with our torch. And you can see we've already got some smoke accumulating. I just want to make sure I get it good and lit on the ends, because that's what's going to keep it burning. It burns like a cigar all the way to the other end. So once I start getting some flames, I can bring my torch off of it and it stays lit. We'll go ahead and shut that down. You don't have to do it on this kind of cooker. That's the good thing about the amazing smoke tube. You can do it on a regular kettle or even a gas grill if that's all that you have. So now we got our veggies today. We got some tomatillos here and some jalapeños and serranos that I went ahead and cut all the seeds out and destemmed them. We're not looking for a lot of heat in this. We can always add heat later on, but this helps make it a very mild salsa for those heat sensitive folk. And I used about 2 serrano peppers, about 4 jalapeños, and 9 to 10 tomatillos. Some of them were a little bigger, some of them were a little smaller. That's why I say about 9 to 10. So we'll go ahead and get the lid on this, let this get smoking, and we'll come back and check on it. Give it about an hour to start with. And in the amazing smoke tube today, we're using Pit Boss's applewood pellets just to give it a little slight hint of smoke with these veggies. They're going to take on the smoke pretty good, so we don't want to use anything too overpowering like hickory or anything like that. We also have these Griffin Grill shirts, and if you're interested in one of these, just drop a comment down below and I'll let you know how we can get you one. So let's go ahead and let our veggies smoke for a little bit. We'll come back and check them, and when they start getting nice and tender, we'll pull them off, let them cool down, chop them up, blend them, and then cook them off in a pot so we can can them. But we got about an hour, so let's just see what happens. So here we are at the hour mark, and we're just going to take a look at our veggies so far. I did flip them over about 30 minutes in. I think I'm going to flip them again and let them run about another hour just to make sure we lock in a lot of that smoky flavor. With doing a cold smoke like this, the longer you go, the better smoke you get. Also give our peppers a flip. We want to make sure we get smoke throughout on them. Like I said, we're not looking to cook these. We're going to cook them off in a pot. So we want to make sure we give them enough chance to get as much smoke flavor as they can. And that's the good thing about cold smoking. You really can't overdo it. Maybe on something like cheese, but veggies, they kind of hold up to it pretty well. So we'll get the lid back on there and let that thing keep smoking. Right now our temperatures are running somewhere right around 160, 165. So that's perfect for the cold smoke. We'll let them keep going. We'll come back and maybe flip them over in another 30 minutes. But we're going to give it 1 more hour total smoke before we pull it off and let them cool down and cook it up in our pot. We are at the 2-hour mark. I have been flipping the vegetables every 30 minutes and our temperature has been holding consistent at about 160, 165. And just checking for tenderness. Everything's nice and tender. Looks like a lot of good smoke got rendered into it. So we're going to go ahead and pull these vegetables off, let them cool down. We'll cut them up, blend them up, and then cook them in our pot. So now we're back inside and I'm going to show you a little pro tip for limes when you go to make margaritas or juice any kind of limes or lemons. If you roll them across a flat surface, it will help in the juicing process. So we're just going to roll it back and forth a couple of times. I got 4 of these limes, so I'm going to cut them in half, juice them, and get them in our blender. So now after our juice of 4 limes, we're just going to rough chop some cilantro. So this is going to go straight into the blender and it'll get pulverized a little bit better. Something about like that. And this is 1 whole bushel. If you're not a big fan of cilantro, you can kind of cut it down a little bit. But I like heavy on the cilantro. I think it provides a little extra crispness to the salsa. So we'll just mash down a whole bunch. Alright, now we'll just dice up some of these veggies. With the jalapeños, we'll do kind of a rough chop. Comes to the tomatillos. What I like to do is do a half cut and then do them into quarters. And if you got a bigger one, you can go ahead and do that 1/4 and half again. Alright, so we'll get this added into the blender and get it all blended up and we'll start cooking it off in the pot. And as you can see, I've got all my lime juice, cilantro, and then I just kind of layered up the tomatillos and the jalapeños and serranos to get it in a nice even fashion. Everything's going to get blended up very well, but I wanted to make sure it was evenly dispersed. So let's go ahead and start that. And of course, as doing any YouTube video, stuff tend to go wrong. My blender decided it wanted to crap out, so I had to finish on a magic bullet, but that's about the consistency we're looking for right there. You can see everything's nice and incorporated. So now we're just going to get it over the oven on low heat. Probably going to run my oven on about the 3rd setting. And now is the time we want to go ahead and season it. I've got an all-purpose seasoning here that I use that is just basically salt, pepper, garlic, and onion powder. And I'm going to do about a teaspoon of that. We'll taste it right before we can it up to see if we need any more. And from here, we're just getting this heated up enough to where when we put it in the jars, it will seal the jars. So I'm going to let it go about 10 minutes or so, 10 or 15 minutes. We'll taste it, make sure the seasoning's right, and then we'll start putting it in jars. So while my pot has been slow simmering, I went ahead and set up my jarring tray, and I've got 6 half-pint jars here. That's probably a little bit more advantageous than what our pot will actually fill. But with canning, you always want to make sure you have more jars and lids cleaned and sanitized than you have product to go in them. Because the last thing you want to do is leave this stuff hot and turn it off and go clean your jars and lids and then come back and have to reheat this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and kill my heat and remove the lid. We'll go ahead and give it one final stir just to get up any of the bits off the bottom that might have gotten stuck, because we want to make sure we get all this goodness into the jars. Alright, so I'm going to take a soup ladle, and I've got my funnel set up right here. And I'm just going to get a soup ladle full, put it right into our jar. And this is the point where you really want to be expedient. You don't want any wasted energy. And about 2 soup ladles will make a half pint. In my experience. Your ladle might be a little bigger than mine. And it looks like I only yielded about 2 jars out of that. So I'm going to take some of this first jar, kind of even it off until I get to the rim here. This one here, we're going to even it off. So that looks like about 2 3/4 jars. So that's just going to have to be what it'll be, because I don't have any more stuff to put in it. We're going to go ahead and clean the lids, or the tops of the jars off, because this is where our seal is going to be. We want this as clean as possible. And that stuff is still hot. Alright, we'll go ahead and seal those up. Still very hot. Make sure they're good and tight. Now, as you can see, these jars lids have a little bit of give to them, but when it starts to cool down, it's going to suck those lids down. That's what's going to help can the salsa, so we can preserve it for longer than just a couple of days. So we're going to let this stuff cool down. We'll be back in about 3 days to give it a try. By then, it should have plenty of time to cool off and everything kind of meld together.
Soon after.
Alright, so after my salsa canned for 3 days, this is what we got left. I didn't have a whole lot because I was trying to save some to give out, but this is just enough for a taste. So we'll take a tortilla chip and get us a good heaping scoop of it. Give it a try, see what we think. Perfect amount of smoke. A little bit of heat on the back end, but extremely mild. Anybody that's spice sensitive, this is a great salsa. It's got some complex flavors, some sweetness in there, but you got just that little tinge of heat in the back of your throat. Absolutely recommend you give this one a try. Thank you for watching this video. If you don't mind, go ahead and subscribe down below if you're not already, and click that bell notification. That way you get an alert every time that I upload a video. If you could help me out, you could also like, comment, and share this video on all your social media platforms, or just direct message to your friends. Would help me out. They can see all this content, see what we're doing. And if you're interested in one of these Griffin Grills t-shirts, just hit me up in the comments and I'll get with you and we will get you one. But that's been Griffin Grills today. Smoked Verde Salsa. Really easy, really simple, really cost effective. I think you're going to enjoy it. Have a wonderful evening.